Welcome to Meliora's channel, your go-to place for C# and data analysis tutorials, products hands-on demos, and insider secrets to keep you at the cutting edge of innovation. Our goal is to break down complex tech topics to a level that you will easily understand to supercharge your skills. Without further ado, let's jump right in. To Meliora's channel. Today, we are continuing on our journey with respect to string manipulation in C#. So as you can see, we've done substitution or interpolation all the way to substring. So the next one we're going to discuss today, the next function we're going to discuss today is the compare function, the string compare function. So as you can see, if I click on the compare function here, it does not do anything now. So we will now go off to the Visual Studio and do the coding that will then enable this compare to start functioning. So let's exit this on this moment. And if you come to, just to show you in window, usually when you look at Examiner, you will see this is our compare button. So if you click on that compare button, you would now see the button definition and the handler when that button is clicked. So the click event and the click event takes it to a handler that is called btn string compare underscore click. So if we right click and say go to definition, so as to go to it, so right click and then go to definition. Right click and go to definition. Yep. So you can see there's nothing coded there now. So as usual, the first thing is to establish the string, the T-box full name string, which will now be the basis of our comparison. So in this particular case, let's just say T-box dot full name dot text is equal to, and then I usually like to use the substitution option, which is putting the dollar sign right in front. And then when you're using substitution, remember you just use the curly braces to represent the number of variables or control elements that you want to include. So we want to include just two, which is the first name and the last name here. So T-box first name dot text, and then T-box last name dot text. T-box last name dot text, and that will give you the full name. But remember, this will give you the full name without a space in between. So we did this to put a space in between. So now, if the user enters the first name and the last name, then the T-box full name will just have that first name space last name in this. Now, what we want to do now is to compare, in this particular case, just compare what the person entered as first name with what that person entered as second name. Let's just do the comparison here. So if you want to do that comparison, you say you would want that comparison, the outcome of that comparison to be in the T-box result. So tbox result dot text, which is where that outcome of the comparison would be displayed, is now equal to, so the comparison, you can do it in two ways, and I will show you the two structures. You can first of all take the first one you want to compare, which is tbox first name. You want to compare tbox first name, dot text, then you can now say dot compare, to, and then you now have the next the string you want to compare it to, which in this case is tbox last name dot text as well. So now this is what you want to compare, but this returns either a 0 if the comparison is successful, or a -1 if it's not successful. So it returns an integer. So because it returns an integer and this is text, which is a string, is giving this red weekly line showing that there's an error. So to clear that, you just convert this to string. Once you convert it to string, then you'll find that that wiggly red line will disappear. So it's gone now. So what we have done in this particular case now is that it will do that comparison between what was the string we entered as the first name and the string we entered as the last name, and it will display the result within the text box result.text element. So let's run it now and let's see what we'll see. So if you run it, and then we come to compare. So before you do compare, you check, okay, Bernard is what is put it now. The display result is here. So that's where that result is going to be. So now if I click on compare, so it's showing me -1 now. It's showing me -1 because Bernard and Izzy, they are not equal, so it's not 0. Now if I change this last name to Bernard as well, so this first name string and the last name string is now the same. So if I say compare, it's going to show me 0 because this time around they are the same. And yeah, we are using first name, last name in this code, but assuming this was just a normal string and not necessarily a name. So this is string, a string. And you come and type the same thing here, this is a string, it's still going to give you the same answer. So if you type something and then you say compare, it's going to give you the same answer. But supposing you take out, say, G here, it's no longer the same. So if you compare, it's going to give you -1 instead of -1 or 1. So but when it gives you anything that is not 0, then that's already an indication that this is the comparison is not a match. So that's it in actual facts. So the only thing left now is that if you remember in the other videos, we usually put a context here just to give a clarity as to what we're displaying. So in this particular case, is a comparison of what is entered as string name and what is entered as last name, and the expectation is to return a 0 if they are the same, or a 1 or -1 when they're not the same. So if we need to put that context as usual, this is tblock result.text. So you can actually stop this and then you just go and insert that line for the tblock result.text, and that basically will bring this particular video to the end. So if I say now here, just to provide that context, and in fact that context usually is best for it to come before the result. So the tblock context is equal to I also usually prefer to use the substitution method to deal with this. So I put a $, and then I'll start in this case. So this compares, I can say compares first name. So what you entered as first name, which is can put it in braces. So you can now put this one there. You can put this one there. So compares this first name to last name. Then you also put it in this, and then inside it you put braces, and then you say returning 0 for a match. -1/1 for a non-match. Okay. So you can, this looks a bit long, but you can actually just come here now and put the T box. This is last name, so T box last name, the text. And then you go to the other one and then do the first name. So T box first name dot text. And once you have this done, you pretty much are there. So you do this and then you run it. And we expect to have that context now displayed. So if I put Bernard, and let me just say Bernard here, and then when I click on the compare, then the context comes and compares first name Bernard to last name Bernard, returning 0 for a match, or -1/1 for a non-match. And that's what happened here, because Bernard matched Bernard as first name and last name. The 0 is returned here because of the match. So if you change this now, say this Bernard is Bernardine, and you rerun this, you find that it won't be 0 anymore. So if you rerun this, it's now a -1, because the first name Bernard does not now match the last name Bernardine. So that's basically it about comparison. So the only little thing I need to show you now is the other format, which does the same thing. So remember, said this is the first way function you can use. So this function here takes the string that you want to compare to and now uses the compare to function of it, and inside the opening and closing bracket you now put the string you're comparing to. So in which case the first name is here, and you want to compare that first name to the last name, which is captured here. So, but the other way to handle it is to, let me just let me comment that out, and now put the second. The other way to do it is to say tbox result. So tbox result dot text equals, then instead of saying tbox first name now, instead of saying this tbox first name, you then say string dot compare. And then you will specify, so you say string dot compare, and then you specify in a bracket now, you specify the first string you're comparing with. And so this first string then is tbox first name dot text, comma, and then the second one is tbox last name. So you're comparing these two strings, you know. So you're comparing these two strings, and then again you see the red weekly line because it's equally returning a, let's see, is equally returning an integer. So, and that integer I returned is being placed on a string here. So you need to convert this root into string for the red wiggly line to disappear. So you convert it everything and then it disappears. So now this will give you the same result as the earlier one. So if you, let's check it, if you run, something went wrong somewhere. Let's see what went wrong. Okay, so it expected a closing brace somewhere. Let's see, where is that? Okay. Where's that? Where's that? Oh, okay, so the closing brace of this method has been inadvertently deleted, so that's the issue. So if I go now and add it, that will solve the problem. So if I go back here and then put that closing brace, so here I enter and then put that closing brace, which is this, I think, yeah, which is that, then that clears it. So if we run it now, I believe it's going to run successfully. It's good to be having this sort of issues when you're teaching or demonstrating things like this, so that those who are watching the video will find out that in reality that's what you'll be seeing most of the time. It doesn't just go smoothly so well like that. So you do see the unexpected and then you figure out the issue and deal with it. So again, if you enter Bernard as first name and last name, I will expect it to, when I compare, to give me 0, which it did. So if I change the last name to Bernardine, so when it compares first name Bernard to last name Bernardine, I will expect that because it's not a match, to give me a -1 or 1 and not a 0, because 0 means a match. So if I do that, it gives me a -1. So and that and the context remains the same. It tells you exactly what is going on. So and that brings us to the end of this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and I look forward to seeing you in our next video, where we'll be discussing the next string function, which I suspect is going to be the replace function. Thank you. See you soon. Thank you for watching, and if you learned something new or enjoyed this video, be sure to show us support by clicking like and subscribe. Your support helps us to bring you even better content, so stay tuned for the next exciting video. You can also click the link below to see other free and paid videos on other exciting topics. If the click did not work, kindly copy the link and paste on your browser. Thank you, and see you in the next video.